And welcome in, ladies, gentlemen, sports fan of all ages and everything in between. We appreciate you all for joining us in our second to last week of the Countdown to Kickoff preview series, where we preview every single team after picking every single game in the NFL regular season. We have 8 teams left. We got the AFC and the NFC North. We put these divisions off because their front offices have some work to do. And unfortunately, even by putting them off, they still have not got it done yet, but we're still going to navigate those waters. It is DJ, joined as always by my co host, Kelsey, as we're getting ready to round out our annual August series, and we have just as many questions as we had when we first started this 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, first of all, let me just say I don't think I've ever timed my jerseys to be up at a better moment than this. I don't think I had them up last year for this prediction. Yeah, but I have over my right shoulder, Amon Ra, and over my left shoulder, just a Joe Burrow jersey. So at least I'm ready for that. But yeah, this division, both of these divisions they're messy, sloppy, can't really figure themselves out. You have hopes for who's going to be at the top of the division, but honestly, will they really be? We don't know. So it's going to be interesting.
You also got 7 new national championship shoulders right behind your head as well, so you got that going for you as well.
Yeah, a little something like that.
Yeah,
We're gonna leave
we'll
that.
just avoid
We're
that.
gonna leave that alone. We're not. Look, we didn't. I refuse to claim 2004. Don't be stupid, people. You didn't make it. We're not gonna give it to Utah. We're not gonna give it to the other teams that were undefeated that year. Get out of here. Ridiculous.
When our own teams disappoint us is when it hurts even more. It's bad enough when we disappoint us, but when they disappoint us in this way, it's bad enough when they disappoint us on the field. When they disappoint us off the field, it hurts a little bit more.
Yeah, if you want to hear my full thoughts, or well, at least my unfiltered version of my thoughts, go look at Kev's from Tailgate on the Quad. He asked me for a quote on what I thought of the new national championships. And yeah, you can go check out his episode from last week. That would have all that information in it.
Absolutely. It was definitely a tough one for sure. But we're getting into the AFC and the NFC North today. We're going to be talking about some Super Bowl aspiration teams, some cellar dweller teams, and a surprising amount in the middle. So last week we decided to tear off the Band-Aid with the NFC. So let's go with the AFC North this time. Let's go and we're not going to say tear off that Band-Aid because there's a lot of good teams and the Browns in there. So we're going to take a look at a little bit of what they did last year and what their top totals are set for this year. So the Ravens continue to be one of the class organizations in the entire league, set at 11.5 for the over-under, minus 160 to be the division winner, basically a favorite to win the division. Only a handful actually are getting minus odds to win their division outright. And that comes off of a 12-5 season in which they were absolutely awesome. After the year before, they were, checks my notes, absolutely awesome. So they continue to do what they do best. The Steelers set at 8.5 after winning 10 games last year. The Bengals set at 9.5 after winning 9 games last year. And net points of 38. We talked about this in our last week's episode. They, as far as teams with a winning record, they give the most points by a comfortable amount. The Commanders were still a good amount behind it in second place. And then there's the Browns. So as we look forward to this one, I'm very curious to see if any of these numbers stand out to you as far as the over-under totals that they're set at before we get into the predictions.
I nothing really stands out on any of them. I feel like the Bengals seems like it's right if they have their defense figured out, right? That seems to be the thing, and we'll talk about that as we give our picks, I imagine. But 9.5 seems like they have two defensive ends conversation, not they have two guys they really, really, really need to sign and get it figured out with. And then obviously that requires the health, which I'm not really as concerned about Joe Burrow, Jamar, and T. Higgins right now. But yeah, I think this is one where you just like, okay, maybe that one stands out. But also the Steelers, perennially 500. They're going to give them 8.5. You guys are giving free money away because the Steelers are going to be 500 team. Usually, that's just like that's what it looks like at least.
They always find a way, but you had to go first last time, so I'm going to go ahead and lead the way with the AFC North this time. We're going to go from the bottom to the top into the surprise of just about nobody. I will have the Cleveland Browns at the bottom of the division. They're not going to hit the win over total. I'm going to get them at 4-13. I think it's going to be a chaotic season. I think when you're a bad team starting a 45-year-old quarterback with an aging offensive line, clear uncertainty at running back, not just the guys who are there, but the guys who aren't there. You have the guys from Law and Order showing up to practice. Couldn't be more fitting, honestly. You have a receiving core, which is solid, but still could use some work. I'm curious to see how Isaiah Bond fits into that because despite the off the field situation that he was in, on the field, he is dynamic and electric. Tight end, we all love David Njoku. Defensively, it's Myles Garrett. Please save us. And then Mason Graham, we'll see how he develops. And Denzel Ward, for the 10 games he plays when he doesn't get hurt every other damn week, he's awesome. I'm just worried that he gets hurt every damn week. So Browns, I got 4-13. Not too much to explain there. I think we'll see. We might even see 4 quarterbacks for this team. We joked about the Colts seeing all 3 of them. You might see all 4 for the Browns. I think you might see both rookies, Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco, if they're all on the roster. There's a good chance they all make an appearance, but moving up the board, this is where I piss Kelcey off because the Steelers are gonna do what they do in the most annoying way possible. I got them going 8-1. So they're not even gonna hit the over total, but they are still holding true to that 500 mark. They will not go below 500. And you know that we've done every other division, so you know that tie is being described in this episode. So you know you're not gonna have to wait very long to figure it out. But I just like we say with the Steelers every year, their defense is really good. Aaron Rodgers will be fine. DK Metcalf will have moments. They're just gonna survive and be around. They'll be in it till the end, basically. Next up, I have the Bengals. I have them at 10-7. If they had both defensive ends there, I might go 11. If they had neither one of them there, I go 9. I'm gonna split the difference, say they get one of them at some point. So we're gonna just go 10-7. The offense is gonna be absolutely explosive. They lost a lot of those really close games last year. I think the shakeup with the defensive coordinator that they get. I know Lou Amarillo was a really good coordinator. Sometimes you just need to shake things up, change your tendencies a little bit, put guys in slightly different positions. So instead of 29th in total defense, let's say they're 25th or 24th or something like that. With the way the offense scores points, and I think Chase Brown being the starting running back out of the get go, coming into the season as a starting running back, he could be a little bit of their Austin Eckler type thing. Not that he's going to be overly dynamic on the ground, but he's gonna be so versatile across the board, and he's so explosive. He's not fumbling the ball. Get him in open space, and he cooks. So I don't think there's that dynamic of shifting running backs like we saw last year. Maybe they add somebody. Who knows? I mean, there's options you could add at running back. Brian Robinson's out there, allegedly. So that'd be the Bengals thing to do is add to their offense while their defense is in turmoil. Which means at the top, no surprise, we got the Ravens at 12-5. Once again, copy and paste what they did last year. Class of the division. That defense is incredible. Lamar is awesome. He's a top 3 quarterback. Derrick Henry's still awesome, unbelievable. The offensive line is still awesome. Like, where's the hole on this team, really? Like, maybe the receiving core could be a little better, but I mean, at the same time, they're not the worst receiving core in this division. They're not even the second worst, I'd say. I'd make the case they're the second best. And the problem is you're dealing with the second best receiving core in the league, otherwise in Cincinnati. So I think the Ravens are awesome. I also have them going 5-1 in the division. So I think they're going to take care of business in the North. Whereas the Bengals and the Steelers I have going 2-4 in division, and the Browns in the most typical Browns way possible. They go 3-3 in the division. Of their 4 wins, I think 3 of them are going to come against their AFC North compadres. So we'll go and just recap quickly what I have for the AFC North. Starting from the bottom to the top, we have the Cleveland Browns going 4-13, the Steelers obnoxiously going 8-1, the Bengals stumbling their way to 10-7, and the Ravens once again holding strong at 12-5.
I'll be honest, I was expecting you'd give a tie to a Browns-Steelers game in the middle of December like normal when they play those ugly, gross games. That was going to be your tie game. I thought that was what you were saying, and I was like, oh, no, here we go. And then you didn't give the Browns a tie, and I was like, okay, hold on. But you gave it to the Steelers, so now I'm really curious who they tie with. Obviously, we haven't gotten to
win
them
that
yet,
game
but-
that you speak of. They will stumble into a win by accident. Joe Flacco will trip 3 yards into the end zone to win that game in December against the Steelers.
It's so crazy to me that the Browns and Steelers fans hate each other for all the reasons that they do. They are the exact same team in so many ways. One of them is going to start an old quarterback because they can't decide what to do with the rookies. The other one's going to start an old quarterback because they tied themselves to him instead of starting a promising rookie. It's like, what are we doing at running back? You got rookies on both ends and you don't know what you're going to get out of them. And then receiving core, that might be your best spot on offense outside your offensive line, which is not great anymore. And then you have really 2 great nice defensive players. Yeah, then you have really great defensive players for both of them. You have good tight ends. You got a solid corner for both teams. And it's like, all right, well, can you guys stop being the same and just combine your teams again at this point in time? Because I'm tired of seeing the same mediocre teams hate each other. I'm like, can't you hate somebody good? At least make it competitive. Like, I guess maybe that's why they hate each other, so they can be competitive with each other. But yeah, that's crazy.
You can't reach the Ravens that are at the top of the scoreboard, so they can't hate them. They're like looking up too far. It's like, you can't get there yet, so we'll settle here.
Yeah, and then the Bengals come in licking their chops every time they face one of them. They're like, oh, I can throw on this team.
Until they see Myles Garrett week 1, and like, wait a minute, okay, that's our one kryptonite. But everyone else, we got
even though Joe Burrow does better offensively against the Ravens than he does against the other 2 teams in the division, which is still a wild conversation.
1,000 passing yards against the Ravens in a season, couldn't beat the Browns. It makes no sense. This division's stupid, and I hate it. I wish I gave them more ties now.
But yeah, I don't mind your picks at all. I think they're very safe. The
Expected.
the Browns being 4 wins. That's okay, sure. I don't know.
I don't care.
Yeah, honestly, if I'm being honest, I live close to Cleveland, and I still don't. I feel bad for the friends that are still trying to root for Cleveland, as I'm a free agent in fanhood, and I'm just like, oh yeah, sucks to be you guys.
I just
Feel
want to see
bad for
Dylan
you for
Sampson.
all 5 seconds.
I just want to see Dylan Sampson actually play. He was SEC Player of the Year last year. Now they're basically trying to not give him the workload. I'm like, you drafted him for a reason. Your other one has not been a hit on the field, if you will. So why not just give Dylan Sampson a go? But I digress.
I'll leave that one alone. So my 4 though, where I've had this division shaking out, I'm gonna start at my bottom and work my way up. I was literally just talking about death taxes Steelers at 500, but guess what? The Steelers are not going to go 500 for the first time ever. And I've been convinced this by Steelers fans that I've been talking to in the offseason. So I'm going to roll with their thoughts. 6-11 at the bottom of the division, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin will not see the end of the season.
Ooh, okay. Do we have some ice for that one? I mean, that one's sizzling. My goodness.
The Aaron Rodgers curse continues for coaches. And that is a true death taxes and something else type of moment. When he rolls into town, if you can't get him on board immediately, which they didn't, they let him play it out as he wanted to. It's not a great look for the future of the franchise. And I love Mike Tomlin's ability to coach Joes and Schmoes, but the X's and O's are always going to be a struggle when this team is not as good talent, not as physically talented as every other team they're going to match up with. So for me, Steelers are 6-11, 1-5 in the division. Next up is the Browns, 6-11, but they have the tiebreaker because they go 2-4 in division, and both of those wins come against the Steelers. So I have a situation with the Browns where I give them their win total, they're over on the wins. But the reason why is because they're not stupid. They're going to use Joe Flacco for his 4 games, and then they're going to start rolling through the other 2, trying to figure out what they have for next year. And between the other 2, they're going to get 3 wins each, is the way, or 2.5 wins each, some kind of combination of that. And Joe Flacco is going to give you at least 1. So, yeah, it's not going to be great, but it's going to be by committee, and they're not really going to figure out what they have by the end of the season. But they're going to know Joe Flacco is not the answer, and Kenny Pickett is definitely not the answer. So yeah, it's going to be Dylan Gabriel or Shador. I don't know which one is going to finally pull it off, but yeah, one of the 2 will be the leader in the clubhouse come January next year. Unfortunately, it'll be for a 6-11 team going into year 2.
One
thing we
didn't both talk about. Do we see number 4 come back on the field at all this year? Do we see him take the field at all, or even late in the season, or do you think no, it's done? Just stay home.
That Achilles thing is I think that is so detrimental. The re-injury to it as well. Those are so detrimental to the comeback effort. I mean, it's a year really until you see a player in any sport make a legitimate attempt at a comeback from an Achilles. Very rarely anything sooner. If it is sooner, you see very clearly that it's not Kirk Cousins worth the squeeze. It's just like you don't want to keep seeing the player harm themselves. And in this case, well, I mean, hey, I'll leave that alone. But yeah, I don't see him making a comeback in this one. I don't. I don't see him back on the field. And even if we see 4 on the field, it's not going to be the 4 that was on the field wearing navy and red. It's going to be the same 4 that was on the field wearing brown and orange not too long ago.
DeAndre Hopkins ain't out there somewhere.
Yeah. The guy that got booed off the field last time he played. Just remember that, every Browns fan. Because he doesn't deserve any cheers right now, that's for sure. So yeah, Browns 6-11, 2-4 in division, at number 3 in the division. Now, moving into some happiness, the Bengals, 10-7, 5-1 in the division. They do play really well in the division. I do think this is the year Joe Burrow gets the monkey off his back when it comes to the Browns, when it comes to the Steelers. But I also think he's going to stumble in one of the Steelers games just because of TJ Watt. So while he gets over the hump overall, he's still going to stumble away, but they're going to sweep the Ravens is where I have it. So yeah, not a bad look. And then top of the division, Ravens 13-4, 4-2 in the divisions. This team is for me, it's the best team in the AFC because they they haven't lost anything. They've just gotten better. They've gotten more consistent. They have a whole year under the belt with the same squad. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have a healthy tight end core going into the season. Hopefully, Isaiah Likely will be ready to go. So it's a team that I like a lot more than I probably would have thought at the beginning of the offseason. And look, Kyle Hamilton has exceedingly improved every year. And at the point where he's at now, I don't know where else he's improving to other than, oh, great, I got to throw anywhere near that guy in the center of the field is the thought going through every quarterback's head. And that's a great feeling for the Ravens, having that same presence again back in the secondary for your defense. So it allows the pass rush to get after it, not really worry about the back end. They can still get got by some faster receivers at the corner position, but the addition of Jair Alexander is it's a huge improvement too. That's helpful. Yeah, as long as he's on the field. But look, I'd like to see those white gloves back in on the field. That'd be nice. But if he is, this Ravens defense is even better, maybe than even 13-4. So for me, Ravens at 13-4, 4-2 in the division at the top, taking it away. So recapping, Steelers 6-11, 1-5 in the division. The Browns 6-11, 2-4 in the division in third place. The Bengals 10-7, 5-1 in their division in second place, and the Ravens taking the top spot in all of the AFC at 13-4 with a 4-2 record in the division.
To absolutely nobody's surprise, we both like the Ravens a lot because when they are healthy, they are outstanding, and you can make a case they have the best roster in football outside of Philadelphia, top to bottom. There's not a whole lot of weaknesses on that team, and they're well coached on top of it, which is why the fact that they haven't made much of a playoff run the last few years is almost it's like, ugh, we hold you to such a high standard, so you're so awesome. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. Like that's where they're almost at the point where I'm not gonna say they're James Harden because that's overkill, but no matter what they do in the regular season, we're like, okay, we need you to crush somebody in the playoffs. We need you to kill off one of the other giants for us. It's time. I think they have the team to do it. It just needs to click in January, if that makes sense. But they're so good on paper.
The thing with them that makes me so impressed by them year after year is the fact that their coaching staff buys into the players first and not their system first. Which I've talked about countless times on the show, where I need more coaches to buy into their players than to buy into their systems and force their players to fit a system. Lamar doesn't fit systems. You have to fit a system to Lamar. Derrick Henry also does not fit systems. You fit a system to Derrick Henry. And that defense, you don't fit Kyle Hamilton into a system. Kyle Hamilton has a system built around him because of his the ability to be everywhere at once, and not really at once, but cover center field the way he does. That's just not a normal thing. So I think their ability to just coach this team better, to be unique in its own uniqueness, it's impressive. And I think that's a really weird way of saying it when you talk sports, but you've heard it in every other thing. Be unique in your own uniqueness. I think the Ravens are the example of that. And if they can just continue that and stop trying to be something else in the playoffs, because it seems like every time they get in the playoffs, like, all right, we're going to be a run first team. We're going to be a run heavy team. It's like, no, be dynamic. Be what you are. You are fun, exciting. You're like the Lakers Showtime version of them. Just let them have fun and see what happens. Derrick Henry scampering for 80 yards. Lamar busting one open. Throwing a deep ball while he runs out of the pocket. Like, take your pick. Mark Andrews getting open for a 30-yard touchdown where he doesn't have to run after he gets to the end zone. Like, those things happen with the Ravens, and it's because of how dynamic they are. So I think once they get to the playoffs, if they can just stop trying to be something else, that's going to help out a lot. But they just got to get there first.
Before we move on to the NFC, I do want to give a shout out to what Todd Monken has done since he's joined the Ravens as well. Coming in from Georgia, it was like, okay, how's this going to work? Not only does he just transform that offense, it's not the Greg Roman, very read option, triple option heavy. He's really opens it up. That's made Lamar the best version of himself. And the way that he blended Lamar's skill set with Derrick Henry, who was a lot more traditional I-form quarterback under center, get me downhill, get me ahead of steam, and everyone's terrified. Had running back when he was in Tennessee with Vrabel and squad. Now he's taking snaps out of the shotgun. They've got Lamar under center. They've used the pistol. He's done a great job finding a way to blend both of their strengths so well. So Todd Monken's, he's going to be a head coach. I think at this time next year, we're going to be talking about him as a head coach if he wants it. He's done an outstanding job from convincing Stetson Bennett that Ladd McConkey is out there somewhere to what he has done with the Ravens and having an absolutely incredible time with it. And I think they're going to continue that as long as they are remotely healthy. They have all the pieces in place. They're poised for another Super Bowl run. And we'll see once we get to playoff prediction weeks if they're able to cash in this year. But we talk AFC. We got to go to the NFC now, our final division. A little bit less tomfoolery with this division compared. Well, you know what? I'm going to retract that. Let's talk gambling a little bit too. Let's stick with the gambling. I was going to do the gambling at the end, but let's split up the money a little bit. We were going to do all of it later, but you know what? Let's get greedy. Let's talk money. I'm going to lead the way with this one and get us out of the way quickly because I'm excited to talk about the NFC. But for the AFC North, for the bets. For the Browns, I hate all of them. So we're going to take Myles Garrett over 12.25 sacks. So basically 12.5 sacks and minus 112. He does that every year he plays, basically. It's a guarantee. Steelers, I'm taking their 8+ wins at minus 195 because I have them getting exactly 8. So we'll take it right on the dot. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, with that offense, we're taking the overs on everything, including 33.5 touchdown passes. He's healthy. He plays all 17 games, which he's going to have to because they're not going to be out in front in week 18. I think he's going to get that clearly. That's 2 touchdowns a game. He needs to do that for them to do anything. Derrick Henry, over 1325 rush yards at minus 114 as well. Adam Sandler said if Derrick Henry runs for 2,000 yards, he's going to put him in a movie. And Derrick Henry's an Adam Sandler fan. So I want to see it for that reason alone. So I think that it's Derrick Henry season. Give me the over 1325. If he doesn't get 2K, let's say he gets like 16 and that gets him in a movie still. So, and his death tax is Derrick Henry. With Lamar next to him, yeah, we'll take those odds until those wheels officially fall off.
Yeah, those wheels aren't falling off anytime soon. I like those actually. Yeah, all right. I'll just rip the Band-Aid off here. Myles Garrett, over 12.25 sacks for the Browns. Because, look, at this point in time, what else do you have to bet on for the Browns' futures? Because right now, it's Myles Garrett, please save us. So, yeah, there's that. Steelers, over 11.25 sacks for TJ Watt. Because just like Myles Garrett, those two, when they're on the field and they're healthy all year, get those numbers regularly pretty easily. The Bengals, you said, you went with Joe Burrow. Well, his partner in crime is Jamar Chase, so I'm going the over 10.5 touchdowns on the season receiving for Jamar Chase because dude's coming off a Triple Crown, could be the best receiver all around because he has the best quarterback throwing him the ball consistently. I'm not saying Joe Burrow is the best, but when you look at top receivers having the ball thrown to them, those two are the best overall combined than anybody else other than, yeah, there you go. So, yeah, I think 10.5 touchdowns. Him and T. Higgins, it's like, yeah, just chalk one up to 10, chalk one up to 7. You're going to be fine. And then moving into the final one, Lamar Jackson, over 3.5 rushing touchdowns for Lamar Jackson this year. We talked about this before we went on air. It just feels like he has 5 every year. So 3.5 feels low. Feels kind of like free money. And all of those are minus 112, 130, and 178.
All right, so you know what? There's some good chances to win some money, and the best part is all of ours can hit at the same time. There's none of them going directly against each other. So there's a chance you could take every single bet we talk today and still win. If you don't, I only bet we can afford to lose. If you're going to parlay all those together, you're a demon. Just make sure you don't bet anything that you can't afford to lose because, my goodness, that's a lot riding on it. But we've talked AFC. Now we're transitioning to the NFC, the last division of our countdown to kickoff. And boy, is it a doozy of a division as we take a look at it. Detroit Lions reigning at the top after a 15-win season last year, 15-2, a net 222 point differential, which led the NFL. 8-0 on the road, 7-2 at home, 11-1 in conference. Just destroyed pretty much everybody. They're set at 10.5. Green Bay set at 9.5 after an 11-win season last year, which saw them go 1-5 in the division. Weirdly enough, they just could not beat the NFC North, but they could beat everybody else. Minnesota coming off a 14-win season. 14, not 4, not 10, 14, with Sam Darnold, the helm set at 8.5. And the Bears coming off a rough season where they lost 10 in a row down the stretch, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they were 4-2, and then were 5. Yeah, I think it was 5-2, then lost. Maybe it was 4-2, and then they went 10-1 the rest of the way. After that, Hail Mary tomfoolery against the Commanders, which destroyed DJ's best bet streak as well. So forever in pain when it comes to that game whatsoever. It was cold after that, but should set at 8.5. So, Kelcey, I led the way on the AFC. We're going to let you go and lead the way when it comes to the NFC North.
Yeah, so I'm going to rip this one off real quick and in a hurry. We talked about the Vikings 14 wins, first 14-win team to go and as a wild card in the playoffs last year. Yeah, they're going to be 7-10 this year.
Not bad.
I
Not good,
don't
but
No, not bad, but not good. But I don't trust JJ McCarthy. I feel like I've said this enough, but I will say it again for those that haven't heard me talk about my disdain for JJ McCarthy being looked at as a top quarterback option. His entire career has been that of a guy who is just a game manager. There's nothing wrong with game managers, but do not tell me a game manager is better than somebody who has a lot more intangibles in their system. JJ has never played an NFL snap, not a regular season NFL snap. He is a second-year player. He did not get practice time last year because of the injury. So now you're going to tell me this team is expected to get 8.5 wins after a 14-win team was last year when Sam Darnold played out of his mind for a vast majority of that season. Yeah, I don't see it happening. This defense has gotten older. They continue to get slower. I still love Brian Flores and his ability to coach up defenses like nobody else, but it's not going to be enough. You need dynamic players here. And right now on the Vikings team, outside of Jay Jettas and TJ Hawkinson, I don't see a lot of difference makers on this team. So yeah, for me, the Vikings 7-10 is not a bad situation, but it's after a 14-win year, you're going to be disappointed. So yeah, that's my prediction. 1-5 in the division. Doesn't look good in the division either. But this is no different than there was a few years back where they won every game close, and then the next year they lost every close game. You know, that's kind of how it flows in Viking land. You win a lot, and then you lose next season, and you're disappointed, and then you win a lot again. So unfortunately for them, it's going to be that way. So 7-10 at the bottom of the division. Next up, the Bears, 8-9, going 3-3 in the division, being very Bears-like. I think the big difference here, obviously, you talk Ben Johnson coming in. Yeah, that's going to be a huge, huge difference for just the entire offense. You're not going to see DeAndre Swift running a halfback gut every single time. You're going to see him actually get into space, get open. You're going to see them use two running backs. You're going to see them use Roshan a little more. You're going to see them get Roman Adunze involved. You're going to see probably any receiving core option that's not just DJ Moore. And you're going to see Caleb hopefully stay inside the pocket and not have to get sacked and not have to throw the ball on the run every time and actually be able to be a real quarterback in the NFL and not scrambling for his life. I was always of the opinion Caleb was not the right guy for the Bears, and it's because of the system around him when he got there. With the new system here, if he can figure it out, I think this is his best opportunity to prove he can be an NFL quarterback. And honestly, he has a really low bar to set for being the Bears' all-time best quarterback. Also, Tyson Bagent still here. Got a $10 million contract extension. So if anything happens to Caleb, I'm a little less afraid of what happens in the second year or with the second stringer than I am in a lot of other teams. So yeah, the Bears 8-9, 3-3 in division. Next up, Packers, Jordan Love, 10-7, 3-3 in division. Because that's what the Packers seem to do is just enough. Just enough. No, I don't dislike this team at all. I don't love the defense though. I'm not sold on the receiving core despite Matthew Golden being everybody's darling going into this season. I hate the number. We talked about that before. You've pointed it out 1,001 times, and yeah, it just doesn't look good. Got to have a receiving number. You can't just
find him every week. He does it.
But I do love Josh Jacobs. I do think their offensive line is not bad. And Jordan Love, I think, is that guy that's going to be that fourth quarterback of this generation where you look at it as like you have your top three guys and then that fourth guy that's always really, really good. But is he good enough? Does he have a good enough team to get over the hump? I look at it like that. Also, Tucker Kraft, don't sleep on that guy at tight end. Very good. Really good. And defensive line is really good too. They're just not good enough. Is kind of the vibe I get. They're good enough to get 10-7, but are they good enough to win it all? No, not yet. They're there. They're close though. And then last but not least, I think surprising nobody, them Detroit Lions, 12-5, 5-1 in the division. They do take a step back with no Ben Johnson. I don't think that's any surprise. No Aaron Glenn. Take a step back. But guess what? They are going to be this year. Healthy. Yay, everybody in Detroit screams in excitement. Jared Goff is the most underrated quarterback in my eyes in the NFL. This guy has continued to be a top 5 passer, top 7 passer since he got to Detroit. And yet everybody's like, it's just Jared Goff. Like, are we kidding ourselves here? This dude has been exceptionally talented every year. He has proven he can win games. And him and what Amon-Ra have is unquestionably good chemistry. You add in what he has with Sam Laporta, and you add in Tim Patrick as a weapon off the bench that nobody really even thinks about because you have J-Mo running down the line. You do.
You're not allowed to talk about Tim Patrick before the season. You just ruined his season.
I'm sorry, Tim Patrick.
What are you doing?
If nobody knows the history there, I have drafted Tim Patrick in 2 seasons, preseason drafts, and he got injured, tore his ACL in both the very next practice in both cases. So, but I didn't draft him this year. That's the rule. Is I thought it was I didn't have to draft him, so I didn't draft him.
No,
so
was that you just don't even acknowledge him? Your curse is too.
And maybe it is the Kelcey curse on Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick, if that's the case, I do apologize. You can come on the show and talk about it. But no, Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery are fantastic too. This offense, I could say 1,001 great things about. So I did. The defense, I can say 10 good things about, but I won't because I need to leave something for DJ to talk about. But for real though, the Lions team is really good. I don't think there's any questioning that. So recapping from the bottom up, Vikings 7-10, 1-5 in division. At the 4th place position, Bears 8-9, 3-3 in division, sitting at 3. Packers 10-7, 3-3 in the division, at the number 2 spot in the division, and taking the division, the Lions 12-5, 5-1 in the division.
You know where we are different? We are also the same. So I'll go through this relatively quickly. At the bottom of the barrel, we got the Vikings at 6-11. You have a 22-year-old quarterback. He's basically essentially a rookie. That's a tough spot to come into. He has not played a lot of football. He hasn't played much in the NFL. And in college is a very different type of offense. Hasn't thrown a lot of passes. Jay Jettis is banged up right now with the hamstring. Addison's out for the first 3 weeks. The running game, Aaron Jones is a timeless wonder, but he is known to get banged up every single season, at least for a few weeks. I like Jordan Mason. We'll see how it fits. There's just questions. I do. They have it's an outstanding situation. Ask me again next year. I might be like, oh my goodness, the Vikings are amazing. But I think this year it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be a little rough. Very few teams win 14 games, switch quarterbacks, and then are awesome again. It's hard to really think of that happening at any other time. But next up on the line, we got the Bears also at 8-9. I think they're going to start a little slow, but I think they're going to pick up a lot of steam. I really do like this team. I think if everything clicks with the new coaching staff, like let's say Ben Johnson runs a very, very complex system that's been talked about across the board. Like there's a lot to grasp. So if they are able to grasp it quickly, this team can win 10 or 11 games. I think they're a really talented team. I just think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve earlier on. And honestly, it's a addition by subtraction. Get rid of Matt Eberflus and the catastrophe they had last year at coaching staff and what was going on. So that automatically is good. So I can see this team easily winning 10. But we're going to split to 8-9. They're going to get hot down the stretch. They're going to be a lot of people's darling the next year, including mine probably. That's how I have it playing out. And I think DJ Moore is going to be electric and do a lot of that Amon-Ra St. Brown stuff because they're going to see him get the ball in his hands and destroy people's ankles and be, I like that. And Colston Loveland's awesome. Next up, I have the Packers at 8-1. So an Aaron Rodgers return to Green Bay, that is going to be the tie that we have. So I will have them going 8-1. Both them and the Bears 3-3 in the division as well. Packers getting much better in the division after last year, which leaves the Lions also 12-5 and 5-1 in the division. Everything is about their offense from Jahmyr Gibbs to Jamison Williams to Amon-Ra St. Brown. The offensive line, Sam Laporta, Jared Goff. Incredible offense. It's all still there. Defensively, Aiden Hutchinson's coming back. I think he is such a difference maker for him. Lee McNeil on the D tackle. Corners, I think Terry Arnold in year 2 is going to be a lot less penalized and a lot less handsy, hopefully. I think that's going to help as well. Once the pass rush is there, I think that helps their defense a ton. They don't have to blitz as much. They could play normal man, get after it with 4, have a little bit more help underneath. Where last year after he was down, it was hard to manufacture pressure, especially because they kept dropping like flies down the stretch. Brian Branch is amazing. We all know that. They're just really good. So not a whole lot else needs said. I just think they're going to be really good, even losing the coordinators. I think it will hurt, but they're still going to be good. But I'll go ahead and recap it really quickly. The Vikings will go 6-11. The Chicago Bears 8-9. the Packers 8-1, and the Detroit Lions 12-5. But this is a very fun division. I know my records have Detroit winning it comfortably, but I think it's gonna be close. I think there's gonna be moments where it's close, and then Detroit runs away with it.
I like it, honestly. I do. I think that's a very fun division. I look, we have almost identical. Well, we have the identical order, but we have different win totals, and I think that's where I think we differ. But yeah, I think your picks make a lot of sense. Like why you have. I agree with the Bears conversation. I think the Bears have that crazy opportunity to go worst to first if everything, and I mean everything, goes right, because we've never seen Caleb, whether it be in college or in the pros, we've never seen him with this complex of an offense. We've never seen him have to make these type of reads, and Jared Goff made it look easy. And that's not an easy thing to do. Like,
and it took Jared Goff time in Detroit too. Remember, they were 1-6 out of the gate with that, and then it clicked. So it takes time.
Yeah. So it's always something worth mentioning. Like it's gonna be, and it is Ben Johnson's ship. So as much as I applaud, a lot of coaches for putting players first and not their systems, Ben Johnson does that to a degree. He still puts his players first, but his system is still pretty stringent. So you have to stay within the bounds of the system for it to work. Like he needs you to understand the concepts that he's putting out there. Then you can do whatever you want to. And that's the kind of cool thing for Caleb is as long as he understands the concepts that Ben Johnson's throwing out there, the plays seem to come about and succeed. And look, we know DJ Moore is dynamic, and we know what he can do if he has just a decent quarterback. Justin Fields has been his best quarterback in Chicago, and he lit it up. He was a fantasy darling that year. That might be DJ Moore's best quarterback so far in his career, and that's a crazy conversation to have.
I think he had Cam Newton, if I'm not mistaken, but that wasn't Cam Newton either. That wasn't quite Cam Newton.
That was the last year of Cam in Carolina. But no, it's just you look at this, and this Bears team probably does have the best opportunity to go worst to first. And I agree with what you said about it.
I will also add, I think defensively they're really strong as well. They have a lot of really good players. The one thing that worries me is I don't think they're very deep at any place. So if they start getting like an O-lineman goes down, then there's a floodgate there, right? Montez Sweat misses the game. Well, but now we can't rush anybody. So I do have some worries there. And Ben Johnson, I don't want to say he's been talking a lot of ish, but he's been talking a little bit of ish this offseason. Like he's been definitely, you could tell. You tell him your ish stinks. He's like, no, it doesn't. So I think he's gonna come out and try and make a little bit of a statement this year too. I think he's gonna be trying to dig into the bag of tricks to show off a little bit, especially in those Detroit games. So I think he's definitely putting his in a wheelbarrow for this one. He's trying to out Dan Campbell in some cases. But I think in some cases it's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to watching them. I love that I love that them and the Vikings are one of the first Monday night games. I know it feels weird to have them on there, but I love it. I think it's interesting to put that in prime time like that.
Yeah. What's funny is I would say I would love to see a bet happen, before we get into the betting thing. And this is like, I couldn't find this prop bet, but I want it to happen. Caleb Williams catching 2 touchdown passes in this season. I could see that being a thing.
I could see a Darnell Ryder at offensive lineman to score over under at 1.5. I'll take the over. I think 2 offensive linemen find their way into the end zone somehow.
Yeah. Easily with Ben Johnson.
Easily. But speaking of betting, it is now time to talk about some NFC North bets. So I led the way with the last time. You're going to lead the way here. How are we going to win some money in the North?
Yeah. So in the North, winning money might be pretty easy. It might also not be pretty easy. We're going to start with the Vikings. Well, and we are going to go with Jay Jettas. Surprising nobody. This is the easy one, in my opinion, whether it's JJ or anybody else. Over 8.5 total receiving touchdowns for Jay Jettas this season. The guy, somebody's got to score touchdowns for this team. JJ loves JJ. I feel like this makes sense. So we're just going to roll with it because the alliteration is fantastic. Next up, the Bears. This is the one I struggle with the most, and I think I struggled the entire time. As much as good things I just said about Caleb potential, I'm picking his under for his total passing yards this season. 3,625.5. I'm going under. Despite Ben Johnson, I do think what does make me nervous is this offseason and this preseason, this guy has barely been able to hit a net 10 yards away from him. That's terrifying to me. I mean, like, just hit the net, not even hit the actual squares in the net, just the net. And that does scare me because you do have to be precise in Ben's offense and in the NFL. You're not precise. You're going to throw picks. going to lose yardage. So yeah, under on Caleb's 3,625.5 yards. Next up, the Packers, Jordan Love, over 3,550.5 yards. Because while I'm not sold on his receiving core, they run real fast. There's enough of them that it doesn't matter which one's healthy and which one's injured. He will make them work. Whether it's Dontavian Wicks, whether it be anybody else, Tucker Kraft, he doesn't care. He's going to throw you the ball if you're open. As long as he's healthy, he hits this mark. And this also feels like a really low mark for him. I feel like this should have been higher in my opinion, but it's not. So, yeah, that's where I have Jordan Love over 3,550.5 yards. And last but not least, the guy I say is the most underrated of all the quarterbacks, Jared Goff, over on his yardage in passing yardage this year, despite Ben Johnson leaving. This, I'm just going to put my money where my mouth is. I say he's one of the best quarterbacks and he's the most underrated. I'm going to say he's going to hit his overs on his passing yards this year. And that's with or without my curse coming into play. I think this guy knows exactly what's going to be done. And Dan Campbell, look, despite everything, he's still going to be hands in that offense. And Jared and Dan have a great relationship. And so it's just a matter of the receivers getting open. And I'm not concerned about ARSB getting open at all. I'm not concerned about J-Mo getting open. He's looking even better. Sam Laporta might be my only concern, but he's over that second-year hump last year, and he had such an exceptional rookie year. It's like his second-year hump, quote-unquote, was still pretty good at the end of the season. So, yeah, I'm not so worried. But, yeah, Jared Goff for me over on his total passing yards.
This is a Jared Goff Stan account, and it will remain that way. And part of that will be because he'll be throwing the ball to ARSB, who, for my bet for the Lions, we're going to take his over on receiving yards at 1,075. He's going to get 100 catches this year, and he's going to average more than 10 yards a catch. So he's going to crack 1,075. That is my reasoning for that, and I'm just going to stick with it at this point. Until it doesn't happen, it's going to happen. Vikings, we're going to go under 9.5 wins at -140. Like we said earlier, I don't see them quite hitting the same marks they did last year. I picked 9.5 because I was getting a good -140 number. That way, if they do maybe catch some moments, maybe that team is that good around him, where even a young JJ can just kind of slowly manage it. I still don't see them getting 10 wins again. That's a tough mark to make. And if they do that, the Vikings are about to run the NFL for the next 10 years. Packers, I'm going to take Josh Jacobs under 10.5 rushing touchdowns. Every year he gets double-digit touchdowns in his career, he's followed up the next year with less than double-digit touchdowns. So I'm going to go with history on that one. 300-plus carries last year. That's a lot of wear and tear on him, especially because they had to, with Jordan Love getting banged up, having to bring in Malik Willis, ride the Josh Jacobs train a lot. I think they're just going to take a little bit off his plate. Even still, he gets 10 touchdowns. That still hits. I'm saying he's not going to get 11. That's a surprisingly difficult to get 11 rushing touchdowns in the NFL. Who would have thought? So we're going to take his under at 10.5. Last but not least, we are going to go the exact opposite of you. We're going to take Caleb Williams over 36.25. I think he's going to pass for 4,000. I think he's going to be the first 4,000-yard passer in Bears history. I think not only is everything going to click, I think he's also going to, in moments, he's going to light it up. And I think Ben Johnson's going to give him the opportunity to run it up in a few occasions. I liked his preseason action against the Bills, all 2 drives of it or whatever it was. Colston Loveland, when he's not singing and serenading the crowd, he's outstanding. We already talked about DJ Moore. Roma Dunze, I think, is going to be a lot more solid now. Luther Burton, they like Luther Burton a lot, understandably so, because he's awesome. Cole Kmet, better offensive line. We're going to say Caleb Williams cracks his over on this one. We're going to say he's not saying he's Patrick Mahomes 2.0, but I think he's going to look a little bit more like the quarterback that reasonable draft analysts and scouts and pundits alike saw a very, very good, talented quarterback, not the people who said Patrick Mahomes 2.0 or used that generational BS term. I'm going to say he's going to look like a very good quarterback that I had him ranked number 1, but not for the same reasons those freaks did. I just think he's really good at when he does the processes right. He does a very good job. Last year, there was no process. So he couldn't even follow the process if there was one. Even in USC, when there was a process, he did it very well. We just got enamored with his Russell Wilson highlights. But when he does the right things, I think he's going to be awesome this year. So we're going to take his over. 30, even if it's 36-26, it's still going to hit. But I think he's going to get close to 4,000. First one in Bears history.
Hey, look, you got to beat Smokey Joe. That's all you got to do. You'll be fine.
Smoking Jay now. Hold on.
Nah, whatever. We'll call it spade a spade.
And,
I just didn't feel like putting the other 2 letters on his name. I just did the first letter. That's all.
That's fair, but that's perfectly fair. But that is what we have for our Kings in the North, as well as some of our best bets. Let us know down below what your picks are and some of the betting picks that you like heading into next season. Next week, the Wednesday, right before the season kicks off, right as at kickoff, depending too, we will have our playoff predictions as well as our award winners. So you definitely want to tune in for that. See who we have going up to hoist the Lombardi Trophy and who's going to be bringing home some hardware. I am sure that it's going to be absolutely not surprising whatsoever, and that Kelcey and I will have very chalk picks the entire way like we always do. But we appreciate y'all
Always.
so much for joining us, and we'll see you all again next time.